right, everybody, welcome to the Thursday close and welcome to a bit of volatility coming back into the market. VIX above 20. So that's the volatility index. It's above 20, 21.72. Ooh, is it bad? Is it good? Is it just the pullback that we've been expecting? All right, well, let's take a look at quite a few things here into the close. We'll load up the SPX. We'll get rid of this futures market just for a second here. And we'll talk about exactly the levels that we're at. So you'll notice on the SPX, it's a little bit different to the futures market. You have the low, you have the low of the day, and you're currently trading around here. So is that bad? The answer is not really, okay? Because if it was bad, then we would already be underneath this zone. So we'll be watching this for the next half an hour. This will be the zone that we're looking at traditionally. If we close underneath here, then we see that pullback that we're kind of hoping for in some ways before a resumption of the uptrend. And I think this is probably the story of the day. Now, Nasdaq not faring so well. Neither is the crypto market. Bitcoin down 47.5, down 6%. Some of the other coins down as much as 13, 14% in another little bit of a pullback. Could it be due to Evergrande? Possibly. Could it just be due to whatever the market likes to do? Most likely. Deborah Smith says it's feeling bad. I'm surprised everybody's feeling so. I mean, this is partly what the market tries to make you do. It tries to make you feel these emotions either way. So, yeah, that is a big thing that happens here. Damien Diaz says, good morning, Tom. Did IWM fill the gap? We'll be taking a look at that in just a second. So SPX, spot to watch here, 46.68, I guess. Get underneath that. We'll take the distance here just of that little move. Would we expect it to come down? Yeah, I probably would. Let's go to the daily. Yep, that hits in the daily 20. That'd be a good little level here. 38.2 fib pullback, daily 20. You've got to remember how much move you've just had, guys. So percentage-wise, from the bottom to the top, you've just moved 4.67%. Now, it happened pretty quickly. 1, 2 pretty much days, and it was up there. 4.67%. That's not a joke. That is quite a lot of percentage movement for an index, and it will usually return. Now, we didn't have a return over here, of course, because it went so epic. This is why we get this deeper return. Let's look at an example in the past. There's one right there. Do we have other examples where we've made new peaks? Probably not from recent history, but if we go back over and we look at, don't look at that one, you won't like that. But if you do have these normal kind of full V-shaped rebounds, you'll notice there it pulls back significantly and then, of course, recovers. It's fairly standard for it to do something like this, like to have that first pullback, go too insane, and then have a second pullback. And that's where I feel like we're at this stage. We've had that first pullback. We've gone pretty insane. We've had a second pullback, and now we move towards hopefully consolidation. Hi, Tom. Maybe we get a deep pullback. A deep one? You think so? How deep? What are people feeling today? Are they feeling bullish or bearish still? Let us know. Let us know in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts on what you're feeling. So I'm looking at this daily 20. I'm looking at this 38.2 fib on the S&P 500. I think that's pretty important. Let's move over to the US 100. Then we'll do the super chat that's come in here. Dr. Will X's 698 Singapore dollars. Thank you very much. Thank you for doing the stock analysis. No worries, man. Thank you very much for your support, Dr. Will. It's your support, guys, that does help us keep doing this. So that's one of the big things. If you rock up, if you're interested in it and it helps you out and you give us a like and subscribe to the channel, then it keeps motivating us to obviously continue doing this type of thing. So here's the Nasdaq. We see the resistance. And it stops just before 16.4, before the 16.450. And it shorts off today. So this is the real market, not the futures market. Let's have a look at the 15-minute chart here. Get a bit of an understanding about the key levels. So I think some shorters will have come in not only at the peak, but they already would have come in right around here. So you see support, and then hopefully a closure below that leads on to further shorting pressure. So let's have a look now at the 1 hour chart. Okay, let's look at the daily chart. Okay, daily 20 sitting around 16,115. So then we want to get a fib pullback of the whole move. It's a pretty big deal. Find that 38.2 fib, which is right around there. And somewhere between here and here is where we expect this turnaround to occur if we're going bullish. That will then fill portion of the gap. Some people will be saying, I want all the gap to fill. Okay, sure, that's fair. Statistically, though, more likely it moves around in this area here. So it's not, I think, a pullback that we don't expect. We talked yesterday in the video about the idea of sector rotation. So let's have a look at how that's looking right now as well in the markets. Let me bring that one up for you guys. Let's bring up the sectors right now. Thank you again, Dr. Will. Appreciate that. And while that thing's loading, let's have a look at what everybody else thinks. Buy the dip. Crypto is yikes, says Trio. Yeah, it's not great to have it back there. I'm scaling in to buy US oil. All right, we'll talk about US oil soon. Have you looked at TLT? Well, I can see TLT on the right-hand side here, 0.63% up. Eli says it's a bloodbath. Okay. I wouldn't say it's a bloodbath. It's kind of not every stock is there. Maybe your stocks are getting smashed. But I don't know. I guess, you know, with markets, you've got to always take the emotion out of it as much as you can. So if you can take the emotion out of it, then you don't really feel the pain train either way. Also, if you don't put yourself in too much risk on any one particular trade. Now, this is year to date. This is not what I want. There we go. Now I've got it. All right. Let's have a look at these sectors. So I assume that the defensives are going to be up the most. All right. So here's the movements. Here's the defensives, XLP, XLB, XLU, the standard trio sitting up the top. Got IBB pulling back here 1.97%. I guess after the big moves, they're pulling that back a little bit. XLK, of course, drawing the sectors down really hard, 0.86 down. And then even financials. I mean, if the market was really worried, financials is actually flat for today. So I think if you look at the Dow, if you look at the S&P 500, the general market isn't worried. It's just more in the futures market. The tech market. This thing is falling off because you can see here some stocks are down relatively hard. I mean, TAN's down 3.48%. Chewy's down 5.61%. After the earnings, I assume you've got a lot of these stocks that have done fairly well recently, like DKNG's had a bit of a pick up. It's 5.2%. Roku's down 8%, but I mean, could you really expect any different? It was like Sugar rushed 18% on one session. It's why we didn't really talk about too much. I'm not a big fan of jumping in on this type of FOMO run off just one piece of news. You want to see the technical. Remember, the technical gives us the better statistical trade. The FOMO that everyone's gotten used to, which is a candle that comes out and then ramps with another candle and then ramps with another candle. I don't think that's traditional of normal markets, okay? And what I mean by normal markets is markets that have come out of like a recession or some type of nasty pullback. That's usually where we sit. People are super bearish. Okay. Nick M Power $5 says low volume selling, especially SPY and IWM. Yeah, volume probably want to look at it at the end of the day in terms of how big it is. I mean, obviously you can get a bit of an idea here, but it's really that last couple of minutes as well. Sometimes the volume can spike up a lot. You know, we don't call this back end the hour of Wall Street for no reason. That's when they tend to really get involved. But again, don't freak out too much here in the markets, guys. I think that the markets have kind of detailed to us that they're not freaked out. This Omicron thing or Omicron or however you want to say it, that tends to have been kind of overshadowed now, which is good news. And then we've got the Evergrande default, sure. But realistically, I still think the CCP are going to come in and take the sections of the business and try to fix that. Let's look at IWM because that's right around the perfect level here for the close. So we hope for it to come back down to 220, and it has done so. It's actually filled the gap fully. And this stock index has gone boom, boom, filled the gap. Now we look towards the bull side. So will we find buyers here? You've got a couple of choices. One, you can look at it and you can say, okay, well, maybe we could practice scaling here if you like that particular style. The other thing that you can do is you can look for lightning bolts, double bottoms, inverse head and shoulders, all sorts of things and patterns on the smaller time frames. The 1 hour, the 15 minutes, looking for turnarounds, and it's the right zone. So has it completed its double bottom? Has it completed the A equals B? Not really. I mean, it's gone 80%, maybe 70% of it, but overall, you still think there's more in this. So yeah, IWM's coming right back down to previous resistance equals support. I don't think that's unhealthy for this market. Thank you very much, Nick M. Power. Low volume selling is not necessarily consistent, though, with the movement. Like, I love volume, but I like using volume the most with accumulation basis. And I've explained that a few times. So yeah. Tom, is there any hope for silver? Is it correcting down to $12? Yeah, so silver is heavily manipulated, as you know, as is gold. Silver really had a bad day. I mean, frankly, that is shocking. Like, that's a really bad day. You've got all of your little buy weeks. You're waiting for the good thing is you shouldn't have triggered. So you're waiting for your level. And this is why it's important to have no FOMO and don't pull the trigger early because you don't have the confirmation. There's no confirmation. This is not a great candle for it, though. I mean, it could sell as long as it holds anywhere in this zone. It might be okay, but you're right. Silver could correct very, very heavily. Now down to $12. I'm not sure about that, but it certainly could correct. It tends to have, like all these metals, they tend to have very large pickups over these types of periods. I mean, obviously, here's the GFC for an example. That one was 2 years long. Went up to 48, and then it was all over after that point. It was similar for gold as well. Gold here, 1775. Not as bad as silver. It's lost about 0.39%. And if we look at that on the chart, let me just reload it here. You'll notice it's just kind of hovering around the same zone. So still no strong signal here from gold either way. If you're looking more towards, I'm neutral on it. Neutral, looking for the bull side. If you're a trader coming in with no experience of the potential seasonality and everything, then you'd be looking bearish. I mean, that's the reality. You've got rejection, closure. That's what you would be doing. I'm not going to bother with the bearish side. I think it could be false anytime here, just due to other reasons. So for me, it's really just sit back, chill, wait for that. And if you're not getting it, oh well. It is what it is. Greg Hartman says, good day, Tom. I say just a dip before the run. Yeah, it's more likely that this is a potential, multi-day dip. It could be even a dip into Friday, bit of profit taking. I'm actually surprised that Apple is not down more. So I would have thought Apple might come back down to the 170. So that's the only thing that worries me here. Like Apple sitting at 175 seems unusual for where the puts are and the calls are at this stage. There's a lot sitting at 170. So could that lead to a further sell-off on the Friday session? Still would be in line with everything we've talked about. But yeah, Apple is surprisingly holding. Net AFRM coin, oof. Well, coin's going to get hit for the cryptocurrencies. Let's have a look at coin quickly here. Coinbase. The coin's going to get hit by the cryptocurrencies. It's right back down all the way back to 255. I mean, if you like coin, this is getting a much better price. I mean, this price here makes a lot more sense than, say, over here. If we believe still in the Bitcoin rally, whenever that may happen, whether it happens in December, whether it happens in January or next year, then coin could be one of your alt style investments to that. I mean, it will benefit if the cryptocurrency improve. Not shocking. Amazon down 0.87, got fined a bunch of money. It's not really moving very much, just floating around this zone. There's nothing really to be concerned about at that current chart. And let's take a look at US oil and Tesla. So Tesla's back down to $1,000. So it couldn't get past that 20 moving average. We're back down to 1,000. Is this where we've seen traditional buying? So far, yes, it has been on the 50 moving average. I would have preferred that this actually turned and came back up. My biggest problem with Tesla is always that it's a day trade right now. Do we have investable qualities in it at these prices? I would argue you've got that rally. You've got the rally. Now we're in the consolidation, and we've seen further weakness come through now twice on the consolidation. So we've had, here's the consolidation that was okay. Here's a consolidation, a little bit of weakness. Okay. This one here was much worse, but that was, of course, the pandemic. And then the other consolidations after big runs have always been relatively sideways to even slightly down over time. So would it make sense for this to potentially consolidate back down into the 900s at some stage? Maybe. I don't know why it keeps wanting to test the 1,000. Like, this is another test, but for many traders, they're going to like this level. They're going to be looking at this level and looking for that turnaround story. Mike says, since every year investors sell September, not every year, but yes, a high statistical amount of time, does it make sense to buy stocks in crypto January 1st and sell end of August? Well, actually, if you're thinking about that scenario, it makes sense to buy September, October, and then hold the stock and then sell it around August, around that July, August. So you wouldn't buy January 1st. You would buy actually in the crash itself or in the correction itself. That's what you would do, Mike. It's not every year. It's just statistically likely. Remember, it's what's going on around it that you've got to think. What's the story going around it? Do you have like a massive runaway market coming into that period? That makes it more likely it's going to happen. It's the story of the market that you must be reading. TLT bonds, 0.6% here, up. This is really negligible overall in the bigger move and the bigger scheme of things. Weekly still down relatively hard. It's not like there's a huge fleeing of money from the market that's going into bonds at this stage. So this is the 20-year bond. We've been watching that quite a lot. US 10 years also down, so that's not really a huge concern either for the markets. And in general, it looks like most of the markets are improving here into the end of the day. I mean, look at the Dow. The Dow doesn't even care. The Dow is up right now. If we go to the 1 hour, it's actually up on the day. So again, to freak out about the market at this stage, I don't know if that's valid. I mean, it is hitting up very specific stocks that are in tech and hypergrowth. And that's why there's so much red here on the right-hand side. There's a lot of hypergrowth in this watch list. But in general, the bigger companies are not, like the bigger, older companies are not getting belted around as much. So we're about 8 minutes till the close here, and we'll check that out. Tom, why does Apple keep going up so much? Market cap now quite high, the Microsoft market cap. Look at the PE ratios. Look at the ratios of where Apple has traded before, and I think that will help you quite a lot. Jobs numbers we got were horrible today. CPI Friday doesn't look like it's going to be great. Lots of negatives hanging over traders today. Yeah, but that's just all, again, flash pan news. So you've got to always break down, and I'll give you this tip in the markets, okay? How many of you remember PPI the next week, okay? And answer me this. How many of you remember the PPI, or how does the market remember that? How often is the CPI remembered? How often is the unemployment number that comes out on the weekly in like actually recognized or remembered in the next week? All of these bits of data, the GDP, which we all know is pretty much useless data anyway. All of this information, how often do we see it even being spoken about the next week? Guys, I want you to answer that. Anyone know? Thomas Otto says, hi, folks. I'm late today. Good to have you here, though, Thomas. Thank you for joining us. And thank you to almost 600 people joining us. Smash that like button, guys, if you do enjoy the content. Ginny says, Tom, can you have a look at NVIDIA? We'll do that soon, Ginny. And Jay Nibble says, Wall Street gave me a gift a few days ago and then took half of it away, jerks. They took half of it away today? Damn. How much leverage you using, J Nibble? That's a big smash round. All right, let's see what everybody thinks here. Alexandre says never, nada. We got here just headline news to explain flash movements. Exactly. It's just crap. That's what really you're saying. It's yes, it all stacks together. And when you understand economics, you will basically put all these bits of information together. And it's kind of like if you were counting blackjack. It's like +1, -1, and then of course you've got like neutral. Yeah. So it's like, okay, this is bad +1. This is this is good +1. Okay. And this is bad -1. This is bad -1. This is bad -1. This is bad -1. And when you stack with amounts of negatives, and you go massively negative in this case, are you feeling, is the market actually getting to a point where it's starting to look a bit gloomy? Yes. And then you've got one bit of big news like an NFP, and then that also stacks -1. And then all of a sudden the market goes, all right, cool. Well, this is serious. Let's keep going down. And they start turning it. That's how you look at economic news. You just stack it together. Now, if you can't be bothered doing that, most of it is useless. And really what you're looking for is you're looking for the black swan events, the market crashing factors, okay? And there aren't many of those. A little bit of selling here into the close. Let's have a look here again at the US 500. So don't use the US 500 futures, use the real market because that's when you're going to get your important level here. So this is our fib pullback. This is our support currently. And we're wondering whether the market can actually push underneath this level. So if it pushes underneath this level, little resistance equaling support. And then if it does, that's what we're hoping for. Brandon Levin says crypto trading is bearish today. ETH showed some weakness finally. We'll do crypto in just about 20 minutes, about 10 minutes. We'll wait for the market to close here. Let's look at some stocks. Let's do some rapid fire into the close. We've done Tesla sitting around support, though $1,000 now being tested for the fourth time. Not ideal around that area. We've got Square down 4%. Let's just go through all of these. So Square down 4%. Okay. That's the thing. Why? You might ask. Well, I would argue that a lot of stocks actually hit these kind of levels yesterday. Previous resistance, it's come into it. It's selling off. Now, wouldn't it be okay if it did this? Would this be that bad if it did this? Would you feel a lot more confident if it broke through then? My answer would be yes. If it did something like that. Much more technical. I would prefer that. Apple now coming down 0.25%. Still very strong here, but the daily will actually close as a little shooting star. Follow through from that. I'm liking Apple under 170 by the end of the week. That's kind of where I wanted it. Amazon now selling 1.04. Google 0.31. It's not really doing anything. End phase has come down considerably, but it's hovering around that support. I'm not sure if I like it at these prices, but we did like it quite a lot down here. Microsoft 0.42. Okay. We've got Ginny wanted NVIDIA. Let's do that. NVIDIA 4.21%. Now, NVIDIA is a strange one because it's kind of like Tesla. It's done some big ramp. Now it's consolidating. What's it done in the past? Big ramp, a little bit of consolidation for a period. And then we've had other examples like over here where we had a monster ramp and it consolidated for a long time. So I think the thing is we've got to look at market cap here for NVIDIA. Is this a trillion-dollar company at one stage? Probably. It's got a lot of things going for it. I like NVIDIA in a lot of people's portfolios. I'm sure they're a big fan of it. Now, do I like the idea of this coming back down here and then bouncing and then staying in a range? My answer would be probably yes. I think that it's had enough run. It needs to just chill for a little bit, and then it will get back to it. So yeah, that would be a pretty big area here. Burak says most of the stocks at support about to perform double bottoms. Well, if that does happen, that would be pretty good. And Jay Nibble says, yes, I'm an idiot, but he says no leverage. Okay. Well, I'm not sure if you're an idiot, Jay Nibble. Though losing half of what you call a gift is pretty interesting. So hopefully it improves for you. That would be the main thing. I want to improve for you. ARK-K down 5.27%. This fund continuously gets smacked. ARK-G, genomics back down 5.16%. And all of those biotech stocks that were doing so gloriously yesterday, if you notice, they're all down fairly hard. If you think about it, though, they all hit little resistances. Now, if we want turns, this is what we're looking for, actually. We're looking for that pullback. We talk about the lightning bolt all the time. This is where you actually get a lot of participation. You can feel good about these stocks. They get through the 20 moving average on the daily. Things look a lot better for them. Fantastic. Market is about to close here. Now, US 500, we have to watch this side by side. Quickly do this side by side, US 500, and we'll go US 500, Nasdaq. There it goes. 15-minute chart, and we'll go to the 15-minute chart here. So it's putting pressure right on that downside. Look at this little sell-off here, trying to get underneath. Sneaky, sneaky. Okay, there it is. Ding, 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 ding on the close. Oh, man, that is marginal. All right, so it's closed at 46.67.50 instead of 46.68.70 or something. So right around the support. Is that a marginal closure? Yeah. Does it make me feel happy about bull side? It probably makes me think that that 38.2 fib could come in even more, which is, again, let's take the distance of the run. Here's the distance of the run. 38.2 fib would be around 46.26. How much percentage down would that be? Only about 0.88%. Nasdaq ended up rallying and holding a little bit into the end of the day. I don't think this is, again, negative. The markets are down, sure, no doubt about that, but it's not scary. I mean, this is nothing. IWM bang on support. Yep, we can bring that up. 220.52. Yep, perfect. Right around that area. So a day trader tomorrow will come in, and let's say the futures market doesn't pick up. 1 second, I'll just get this into a bigger size. There we go. So day trader will come in tomorrow, and what will they say? They'll say, okay, cool, let's snap this downtrend off. Let's get a little bit of lightning bolt action, move through here, this 20 moving average on this 15-minute, and then we'll start buying this baby up. That's what they'd be looking for. They may not, of course, just snap the buy here. An investor might say, okay, I want to buy this level. A swing trader might say, I want to scale this level. It's a different mentality. A day trader says, okay, well, I want to see. I don't necessarily want to be holding it every time overnight. Or a scalper might say, I don't want to hold it overnight because of the stop losses and the risk. So I'm going to wait, see that pull up, and then look for the recovery. Tom, can you have a look at Coinbase, please? I have had a look at Coinbase. It's kind of sitting around the support. QQQ breached the 395 support, so it goes to 388. Let's have a look at QQQ numbers for you. See if I agree. 388. Oh, you're looking for a full gap move. So again, we take the distance, bring that up. 38.2 is around here, which is the 392. 388 is sitting around 61.8 fib. Bit of a deeper pullback than I would have hoped for. But yeah, I mean, anything's possible. You're just starting to look now for the turnaround signs, the lightning bolts, whether it happens here, whether it happens here, or whether it happens at your 388. Doesn't really matter. The main thing is, I think we've proven now that the bullishness is back in the markets. And we've done that through the idea that this recoup here was quite large. It would be a very strange chart for it to do this, where if it went bang and then all the way bang back down. That would be weird. Frankly, very strange. Docusign. Okay. The Docusign. All right. So Docusign suffered from a massive gap as you know. Now, I don't know what the fundamentals are in this company. I haven't looked at them. It's not really my thing here. How do I feel about a stock that's fallen this far? I tend to like seeing accumulation bases. What I mean by that is I do tend to prefer to see the market go bam with a recovery, bam back down, and then up, like this kind of thing. Where's an example that I can think of? I mean, that's not a great signal for it. It is kind of like a lightning bolt on a 4-hour. So I guess if you're bullish it, I don't blame you. Do I think it goes underneath the low? Probably not. That was a huge sell-off for it. So it would have to be epically bad on the earnings. I think you want to do some fundamental analysis on this one as well to make sure it doesn't keep dropping like a knife. And use some example like Snap, for example here. So Snap gaps underneath quite hard. It then continues to move down and floats for a while. It never breaks above this 57, comes down a little bit further, consolidates, and probably the bottom is in for Snap now, until next earnings. This is most likely the bottom for Snap because it's a bit more considered. Now, in general, this is the way a market will work. It will go down. Sometimes it will rally hard. It'll go down again. This one had almost no rally in it, though. Look, it just went bang, 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 consolidation. Docusign seems to have buyers. Now, most of it is Cathie Wood and Cathie Wood people. But Docusign still hasn't shown everything you want it to see. Tom, is this close considered a lower high from 474? You're talking about SPY, I assume. Oh, you're saying, okay, could it be like this? Yeah, it would be a lower high on the higher time frame. So you've got your peak, you've got your trough, you've got your lower peak, and then lower trough. Yeah, I mean, yes, sure. That's probably clutching just yet. Still clutching, I would say. I mean, you're trying to make a very big prediction there. After market close, a little bit of selling, 46.65 now. So it's continued to sell off in the futures action. Again, get your fibs out. Look for the fib levels. I'll make a video about it. All right, let's go through some more stocks here. What else do we have? What else would you guys seemingly like? Thank you very much. 600 people joining us as well. Appreciate you guys. I'm just reading some of these chats. Not scary. Looking for buys. Hit the likes chat, says Monica. Thank you very much, Monica, as usual. Appreciate it. Hey, Ryan. G'day, Tom and chat. Great to have you here. Is the market pricing in bad CPI report? Wouldn't that make it easier for the rally tomorrow? Yeah, I mean, it's certainly a thought process there, Daryl. Absolutely. Certainly one of those. Whoa, we got a big super chat here, guys. We're going to say thank you to Mitchell Miller, $20. Thank you very much, sir. Can we give him some claps in the chat? Appreciate that, Mitchell. Thank you for your support. Hey, Tom, still the king of TA. Appreciate it, man. Where's Chewy's bottom? Chewy. Yes, we'll look at that in a second. Here we go. Old Chewy. So its earnings result, I assume, is now out. And the problem is it made a new low. So let's go to the weekly. And you know what I'd probably do with Chewy? I'd probably have to use a different website. So let me just quickly get this up. Grabbing it for you, man. You can even get ratios on it. So one of the things I like to do is sometimes I grab a little bit of an idea of where the history is traded for this particular thing. So the price, the PS ratios, however else it's however you like to fundamentally figure out what it's worth. So whether you use like a PE ratio or a PS ratio. Now it seems like the PE ratio is obviously insane. So usually you would be using like an EBITDA or something similar to that. So you got here PS ratio sitting around 3.08. It's been as high as 5.7. The actual growth curve, I don't know where it is today, but the actual growth curve seems to be okay. So the growth curve is decent. I think the problem with Chewy is really when it comes down to profitability. And the market seems to be slapping all these companies that have these massive PE ratios with no profitability. It's not like they're loved as much as they were before. So Chewy's come down. It's going to close its weekly. It looks like post here, the earnings is horrid. So 51.74, unfortunately, or 51.45 in the post. Where do we go to? Man, it could be as low as, I mean, I would always think around $50 would be a bit of a psychological, but it doesn't even seem like that. Where it's gone actually after the post makes sense. Previous resistances over here. So you got a little bit of previous resistances, actually quite a lot. And then you've had that sect as support. So that's actually not the worst zone. Otherwise, it's 45.46. So if you're thinking about the aftermarket here for Chewy, it's slapped straight into where you would hope it to be. Let's go to the monthly. So little data. Again, weekly. Let's have a look at the whole move. Get a fib on it. It's gone past. Yeah, this has even gone past 61.8. So you can't use a fib. It's obviously in really dire straits. A stock like this, you got to see accumulation bottom though, man. Like there's no way you want to be trying to pick the knife, but if you are trying to pick it, this level here or this level here would be interesting zones. You've got to look at it from a scale perspective. So you've got double bottoms, you've got inverse head and shoulders, you've got lightning bolts, all these types of things are what you're looking for in terms of accumulation. You've got Wyckoff. So yeah, that's what I'd be looking at. And I'd probably say 52.40. We still don't know where this will end up. And then underneath that could be a 45.46. But this is not a good result for it today. Very unfortunate. Sorry if you're out there, Scott, as well, because you will not be happy with this one. Get a few requests for crowd today. Let's have a look at crowd. Thank you again, Mitchell. Appreciate your support so much. Totally pessimistic, says Daniel. And he says Chewy is a $30 stock. What about crowd? Look, crowd's around $200-ish at the moment. It's a fairly strong price for it. I like this 180, 175 zone where it was previously, but it is down now about 32%. It's a good company in a very good sector. I like the sector a lot. All right, guys, let's move over to the crypto market. There's so much stock I know that's down here today in the tech sectors. A lot of it just kind of giving back a bit of what it put on in the previous sessions. Is there anything else that's really notable? I think we've got to find out tomorrow whether we move down with the CPI. Remember, CPI is coming out 8:30 a.m. New York time. If the CPI is bad and it pushes the market down for whatever reason, we might be hitting 38.2 fib pullbacks, and that's going to be where you want to watch. So things like these daily 20s. Now, if you have a look at the SPX, this is the market you really should usually watch. The daily 20 is around 46.31. So current price is 46.65 on the futures. So we still think some pullback could occur here. All right, let's move over to the Bitcoins, the Bitcoin markets. Very good. Go to the 4-hour here. Now, this sucks. Actually, we'll use 8-hour because I prefer 8-hour charts. All right, so it sucks it's down here. You had the resistance, it breached, it's come down, It's had that one bounce, no follow through, which is exactly what we wanted. It didn't happen. It's now coming back down to 40, the 48 kind of K level, which is the previous little buying zone. I mean, we need this to hold. We all know this, yeah. If we don't get this to hold, all of a sudden crypto markets could be all the way back down into the 42K land again. We don't really want that. I mean, someone probably does. I don't think we want that. Let's have a look at BTC shorts. BTC shorts continues to go down. So it's probably not the whales in this case. It's probably a bit of Wall Street manipulation. And this is the problem with having these damn futures markets in the crypto space. It allows for a ton of manipulation into these coins at these types of levels. So yeah, 40, 47, 8, whatever. This is the zone that we need to get that turnaround story. We don't have anything yet. Let's have a look at the 1 hour chart. Very sluggish here on the 1 hour chart, barely moving around. 15-minute chart, again, sluggish. If you're looking for the turnaround story, maybe grabbing like some kind of trend line down, noticing that here it seems to be really struggling with like a 15-minute 20, get some kind of base formation and then movement up. What do you guys think is going to happen in the next 24 hours with crypto? Give us your Bitcoin price predictions right now in the next 24 hours. We're currently at support. We break under support. I think it could be a bloodbath. If we move up though, could be all right. So what's your thoughts here? Ethereum copying a real hit in comparison as well. This is actually a pretty big hit for it. Straight back down 4-1, obviously 4,000 being the key massive support here for Ethereum. Harsh says, I think we'll rally over the weekend. Finken says 51.5. PK Subban kind of hates Bitcoin, I think sometimes a little bit. 42K. Kevin says 46 and the 200 DMA. You really love that DMA, don't you, Kevin? And then we've got here a few other people. Paul says Tesla at 1K will be interesting to see what opens tomorrow. I agree with you. It's a pretty key level here. Needs to rally back up above that. Almost certainly manipulation of BTC. Yeah, BTC is being pretty heavily hit, I reckon, by some futures contract. Sideways slog, says Glenn, 45K from Kaz. BTC at 50. It'll hold. Yeah, I tend to believe it'll hold. Whether it goes lower or not, I still think Bitcoin will hold up this time around. Look, it's showing weakness across the board. We know this is a huge pullback. It doesn't matter whether you use a log scale or you don't use a log scale or anything. This is a fairly large pullback. Here's the facts. We've got a previous resistance that was a bit of a resistance, support, almost support on the flash. If we do come back down here, will there be buyers around this level? You would think the answer is going to be yes. Do we want it down here? Not really. We would prefer it to turn at this exact level and kind of lightning bolt up. Hit the 54, find a little bit of resistance, and move further. Hard to bet against it right now, but yeah, certainly looks nasty when you look at it on the charts. All right, let's do US oil. We haven't done that one yet. We've got resistance here, still finding resistance. Let's look at the 2 hour chart. So as we suspected, well, we knew this zone was important. So we still like oil quite a lot. I still like the oil trade. We've got resistance, no breach out on any significant time frame. It's now sold off. So where do we expect oil to go to? Well, we would usually expect it to go to 69.40-ish. Find buyers hopefully here and then rally back up. Could be another nice trade. So it hit our first take profit, which is here. We were hoping for a closure above so we could go towards 75. Now we're pulling back down. We hit this level, look for the bounce, and then, of course, movement back up to 72.89 or whatever this is, 73-ish, and then we move towards 75. So oil still looks fine. It's just coming back to the conservative entry for a lot of people. Tom, CPI expected to be bad. That is bad for BTC, as is not a hedge. Sure. Does the banks enjoy the back wind in case of inflation is bad, CPI? So I assume you mean it's in like things are potentially the stimulus is potentially going to stay around for longer. Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, I mean, possibly. Have a look at the XLF sector in general. I mean, see what it's doing. For XLF, it might, like when you look at this on a chart, what does this look like? Well, it looks like there's a base being formed. It's kind of consolidating above that. Um, and yeah, it doesn't look weak, does it? So the financial sector does not look weak. Tesla under 1K in the post market, it will be. By 1 cent, Paul. 1 cent. Might move back into oil soon, says Kevin. Yeah, it's interesting level. And a few people are yelling out Elliott Wave ABCs for Bitcoin to go down to 32, 33. Yeah, I don't know. Elliott Wave can be very subjective, so just be careful there. It's good to know, but it can be subjective. I mean, that's like saying that you should have had extra ABCs in Bitcoin towards the up. You know, it's a lot of switching and changing. I do really love my horizontal support resistance. That's the one to go with. Waiting on lower for US oil. Fair enough. And Bitcoin is pumping, says Gaia. Pumping. I think Gaia has. I'll find where he's got it. He's got it. Let's go the 1 minute. Oh yes, there it is. There's the pump. There's the pump we've all been waiting for on the 1 minute chart. Hey, look, you'd like your 48, wouldn't you? On your 1 minute chart, you get little resistances here, get a nice base, breach through that, get your little 1 minute action on. Miss Al says, Tom, people say Elliott Wave is astrology for me. Fair enough. I like ABC, but I think, again, you can misinterpret it a lot and it can get you in a lot of trouble. How do you trade US oil? Usually you have like a futures market, some kind of CFD in your account. Now, if you don't have access to that type of thing, well, I guess you would trade the energy stocks themselves, but it won't be as reactive to US oil. I'm not going to speculate on one CPI result, unfortunately, Andrew. So it says, Tom, what would you happen if the CPI will be above 8%? If so, will it force the Fed to raise rates before finishing the taper? Could this be a 10, 15, 20% correction on the SPY? No, I don't think so. The discussion of whether the Fed's tapered and interest rates is a 2022 discussion. Come on, man. We don't want to go to Christmas like looking at it going, oh, man, this sucks. This sucks. It's a red, horrible time. I've already had enough horrors. We want green Christmas. Let's go with green, guys. We want green. Interest rates, let's talk about that in 2022. Bring that back up. Cool. All right, guys. Well, that probably brings us to the end of the stream. Thank you very much for joining us. I'll put out a video a little bit later. A few people asked me to look at AMD here, so I will do so. AMD has weakened heavily today, 4.92%. Look, I'm not a fan of this. It's kind of like NVIDIA. Big rally, sideways action. Big rally, sideways action. What happened in the sideways action? It went underneath. And if you're wondering, well, has this happened before that though, Tom? I would say again, yes. Big rally, sideways action. Okay. So just be careful here on AMD. It's not cheaply priced. It's $166 billion. It's gone on a sweet run. If you're on board for that run, congrats to you. But to be buying all over this area is more of probably a day trader type of thing. So you want to find your zones like here. Then you want to look for your little turnarounds, buy it up, maybe sell it here if it breaches past, then take it long. Now you've got some good levels. So you've got good support here and a good resistance here. That's probably what I've been doing with AMD. But know what you're getting into. There's your key zones. You got your 50 moving average on the daily. You got your resistance at the 20. And now we hopefully trap within these two moving averages for a little bit, coil, and then maybe we bust out. Can you summarize your thoughts on Coinbase from here? I mean, there's no point in summarizing my thoughts on Coinbase when it's just based on the cryptocurrencies. I don't really see anything other than Coinbase goes up when cryptos go up, Coinbase goes down when cryptos go down. Ultimately, it makes money off transactions, but you still need hype in that market. So I guess I would go with probably it's sitting at around a fair area. You go to coin, sitting at around a fair area. Has it been averaged around here? Yes. Was it cheap down at 210, 220? Yeah, I guess. I mean, cheap as cheap can be. It's one of the largest coin transaction companies, $56 billion, though. They're going into a whole bunch of new spaces, which is really where their growth curve is going to maybe become less about so much the price of Bitcoin and Ethereum. And it's right there. If you're looking for the turnaround, you're looking for a breach of this zone, but we don't have much TA news on it yet. I mean, this is still a very new offering. Thanks so much, guys. Appreciate your support as usual. I hope you have the best day possible. And look, is this going to be an epic new crash correction? Personal opinion, I doubt it. That's a guess. Obviously, pullbacks back to 38.2s and 50 fibs of the last run. It could be very, very possible come back. When something goes up so hard, it tends to have a little correction on it. Remember, we've got to remember what happened this week. We had a 5.77% up day in terms of 2 days run. That was fantastic. We're now moving down here a little bit. That's okay. And we're not scared of that type of thing. It's a technical kind of thing. Where you get scared is if it takes another low out. That would be bad. That is bad. Get ready for the 50 and get ready for another, quite considerable percentage drop. All right, everybody, have a great day. Make a video now, and I'll have that out in a few hours. So thank you so much. Bye for now.